Escalating tensions in the East as House Speaker Nancy Pelosi travels to Asia. Her trip will include stops in Singapore, Japan, and South Korea, but all eyes are on her potential stop in Taiwan as China announces it will conduct military exercises near the island. Welcome to Fox News Live. I'm Aisha Hasni. Griff, good to see you.
Aisha, great to see you. I'm Griff Jenkins. China disputing the White House's claim that President Biden brought up genocide and forced labor during his 2-hour-long call with Chinese leader Xi Jinping on Thursday. David Spont is tracking all of the latest on this developing story from the White House. Hey, David.
Hey, Griff and Aisha, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to everyone watching right now. The speaker is en route to Asia. She already has some pre-scheduled trips to Singapore, Japan, South Korea. But the big question, the suspense, will she go to Taiwan? She wants to go. Some Republicans who are her political enemies in Congress are agreeing with her. They want her to go. Some Democrats are saying don't go. The White House is being mum on it, but the Communist Party in China is saying absolutely do not go. Listen.
Well, I don't ever talk about my travel because, as some of you know, it's a security issue. It's a security issue for every member of Congress traveling, especially abroad. But for the Speaker, it is an additional security issue, and for those traveling with me, not just members, but staff, et cetera.
It's an interesting issue because Pelosi, as I said, clearly wants to go. And, you know, those Republicans that normally would not side with her are saying she does need to go specifically to show China we are not afraid. Democrats say just don't do it. Others are saying, listen, it's up to her. They're putting the burden on her. An official associated with Chinese state media even went so far to say her plane could be shot down. I mean, think about that rhetoric. The White House wouldn't give much of an answer when asked specifically about that threat.
It's something that we're just not going to speak to. Right now, that's a hypothetical.
And the president is spending his Saturday here at the White House dealing with multiple issues abroad and here at home, specifically at home, the economy. If you bring up the word recession, everybody here that works here on this campus, they don't want to admit there's a recession. They're going by the technical definition of recession. Officials insist we're not in a recession, looking to that technical definition of 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. They're viewing this as a mere bump in the road. White House officials will, though, talk about inflation, no problem, looking to spend even more money. Senator Joe Manchin now on board with the Inflation Reduction Act. It sends billions of dollars to help fight climate change.
This bill would be the most significant legislation in history to tackle the climate crisis.
It also helps fund health care and prescription drugs and also imposes a new minimum tax on corporations. Griff, Aisha.
David Spont, live from the North Lawn. David, thank you. Aisha?
Thanks. All right, for more on U.S.-China tensions, joining us now is Republican Senator from Alaska, Dan Sullivan. He serves on the Senate Armed Services, Commerce, Science and Transportation, and the Environment and Public Works Committees. You're a busy man. Thanks so much for joining us
here,
on this Saturday afternoon. Let's start with the China tensions happening right now. We've got this back and forth going on between the two administrations over this call with President Biden on whether or not he brought up human rights issues. China says he didn't. And now we've got the speaker on her way to Asia, possibly touching down in Taiwan. Do you think she's actually helping the president's posture when it comes to our policy with China?
Well, look, at this point, if the speaker goes, I think you're going to see a lot of bipartisan support for the trip. Okay. I certainly will be supportive of her trip, and I think you're going to see evidence of a lot of senators supporting it. And here's why. We cannot let the Chinese Communist Party dictate where senior American officials travel. I was in Taiwan last year with a bipartisan group of U.S. senators. American senior officials, including previous speakers of the House, have traveled to Taiwan for decades. And right now, you know, there's a lot of things the speaker has done that I don't agree with, but I think it's time for Americans to close ranks on this ability to travel to Taiwan, which we do regularly, and not let the Chinese Communist Party dictate where Americans go.
Do you think this is a make or break moment, though? Do you think China looks at this, if she does touch down in Taiwan and perhaps decides maybe we don't invade Taiwan in the next 18 months and maybe back off a little bit and wait?
Well, look, China always has blustering language when anybody goes to Taiwan. After my trip, they spent 2 days attacking me and the 2 U.S. senators that I traveled with, both of whom were Democrats. And I think you have to look at what's going on more broadly with regard to China in Taiwan. This is what dictatorships do, Aisha. As you know, Xi Jinping is having some significant domestic problems right now. He is trying in the 20th Party Congress in November to be essentially declared dictator for life. And
this is a good strategic move for him domestically.
And I think a lot of times you look at history, whether it's you know, Hitler or Putin,
right.
They create international crises to bring their citizens together to kind of divert attention from what's happening at home.
Let's quickly pivot to inflation, our domestic issues at home. We have so many. Democrats have this new spending bill, at least it's called the Manchin-Schumer bill. They say it's going to reduce inflation. The Penn-Wharton analysis disagrees. We still don't know where Senator Sinema stands on this. And now Democrats are worried they're going to lose GOP support on some of their other agenda items. Here's Representative Brian Schatz just yesterday.
They tanked a bill to take care of veterans who are experiencing the bad health effects from burn pits, and now we're hearing they may tank gay marriage to punish us. So I think it's a really, really cynical strategy, but I also think just politically it's going to backfire.
So I got to ask you, is the GOP trying to tank the Democrats' agenda, including bills that might have seen bipartisan support?
No, we're not at all. But look, here's what's happening. The Biden stagflation has arrived in America. Record inflation. We're now in a recession, 2 quarters of shrinking GDP growth. And the people who are bearing the brunt of that are the American working class, American working families. And what this legislation looks to do is exactly the wrong thing. More spending, raising taxes as we're in a recession, and of course, the Democrats' favorite policy, which is to go after the American energy sector. This is going to create more harm at home, and it's not going to do anything with regard to global climate emissions. So we're not doing what Brian Schatz just said. We are actually trying to help the American working class prevent more damage to our economy, to job prospects. And again, Aisha, one thing that is clear to us is that the stagflation that we're seeing right now has been a self-inflicted wound by the policies of the Biden administration and the Democrats in Congress.
Senator, can I ask you specifically, though, about the PACT Act?
Yeah.
It is such an important bill for veterans that have been exposed to burn pits.
Yeah.
Bipartisan support. It passed for a procedural vote a month ago.
Yep.
And now we're waiting on an amendment vote that's going to come on Monday. Leader Schumer's promised that. But people are upset. People are very angry, including Jon Stewart. If we have a bite, let's play that, because I want to get the senator's response.
Ain't this a America's heroes who fought in our wars, battling all kinds of ailments, while these sit in the air conditioning, walled off from any of it. They don't have to hear it.
So if this amendment fails on Monday, you need 60 votes. Are you still going to vote no for this bill?
No, look, I've been one of the leaders on toxic exposure issues for years in the Senate, right? I'm on the Veterans Affairs Committee, Armed Services Committee. I'm still serving myself as a colonel in the U.S. Marines. So I have been focused on toxic exposure for years. When the PACT Act passed last time, I supported it. But the procedural votes moving forward, I opposed some of them so we could get amendments that we were promised.
But has the legislative text changed?
That we were promised to get to make the bill better. So that is exactly what we are trying to do right now on the procedural votes. These are bills like we did a month ago to try to get amendments to actually improve the bill. And so that's where I am.
So you're saying you're a yes vote. If it comes up for a vote again and this amendment fails, but it comes up for a vote again, you'll vote yes?
Yes, I'm definitely going to be. I mean, I was a yes vote last time, but here's the issue.
We got to go, Senator.
On some of these procedural issues, what we're trying to do is improve the bill But at the end of the day, I've been a strong supporter of this, and I will be again.
Understand. Thank you so much for joining us. So appreciate a lot to get to. Thank you so much, Griff.
I should thank you. And just a quick correction, during David Spunt's excellent reporting, we showed on the lower screen there Pelosi visiting Taiwan. She is not known to be visiting Taiwan. She's en route to Asia that does not include a Taiwanese stop, although there is speculation she may stop there, and that is what all of the tension and hubbub is about. And for reaction from the other side right now, we have with us Democratic Congressman from Texas, Al Green. He serves on the House Financial Services and Homeland Security Committee. Congressman Green, thank you for being with us. Obviously, it is all eyes on this trip. Speaker Pelosi traveling to Singapore, Japan, South Korea, and Malaysia. But there is speculation that she could possibly stop in Taiwan. Your thoughts?
Well, I'll support the Speaker if she stops. I'll support her if she does not. I don't think she'll be badgered into doing anything. I know this Speaker. I've known her now for almost 2 decades. And she bases her decisions on empirical evidence. And I would trust her to make the right decision. I'll support her either way.
Well, do you also see, as many critics, both Republicans and Democrats, are pointing out, that now with such bellicose talk coming from China, threatening to shoot the Speaker's plane down, that it is a threat that perhaps she has to stop now? How do you see it?
Bellicosity does not make the Speaker move in one direction or another, and it shouldn't. You should not allow your decisions with reference to your travel as Speaker of the House, third in line to the presidency. You don't allow another country to make comments that will motivate you to do one thing or another. You do it based upon empirical evidence. So I'm appreciative of what's being said about a failure to do so would make us look weak. Well, we will look as strong as all of these warheads we have are. We will look as strong as the aircraft carriers that we have. There's nothing in the world like us. We are global. We are a global power. We can send out a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, and it doesn't have to come back for 25 years. So they're not going to make us look weak by being bellicose.
Well, you raise a great point, Congressman, because the USS Ronald Reagan this week moving its carrier and strike group into the South China Sea. Now, that's not unprecedented in the Pentagon not commenting on ship movements, but does it indicate to you just how high tensions may be in the competition between our two countries?
Well, we are around the globe consistently, and I don't see it as highly unusual for us to have an aircraft carrier in those waters. We're everywhere. There's nothing like us. So I wouldn't draw conclusions other than we're doing something that we deem to be important and critical for our mission, not the mission of someone else.
Congressman, changing gears just a little bit, the White House really doesn't want to use that word recession after the second quarter GDP falling again, which is a common definition for being in a recession. How do you see it?
It is a technical recession, but you cannot overlook the fact that we're creating jobs, that unemployment is very low. Those two things would cause one to conclude that we're not in a recession of the type that we normally experience just yet. And we are working to prevent that from happening. That's why we have the Inflation Reduction Act to help us to bring prices down, to make sure that persons will have the opportunity to have more money in their pockets and keep more of the money that they have in their pockets. So I'm very much pleased with what the president is trying to do to get this done. This bill that we're looking at is going to reduce the deficit by more than $300 billion. And it has offsets in it by making those big corporations, the 200 that pay less than 15% in taxes,
right?
They should pay their fair share. There's nothing wrong with that.
I want to get to that. But first, Congressman, you and I are old enough to have lived through recessions in the past. So let me ask you, do you believe Americans and your constituents in Texas are feeling a recession, whether the White House is calling it that or not?
Of course they are. Of course, people have a mindset that's been created to cause them to think recession. I don't deny this. My constituents care about the stock market, but they live by the supermarket. And when they see prices going up in the supermarket, that impacts them at the service station. But remember this, if we had no worldwide pandemic, no shutdown of the workforce worldwide, if we didn't have those two things, and if there was no Russian invasion, we wouldn't have 9.1% inflation. It wouldn't be the case. Yeah. This is all brought on by a multiplicity of things, and we ought not try to conclude that any president would be able to handle this better than this president is handling it.
Critics of President Biden would disagree with you. Just before we run out of time, I did want to ask you about a border question. Just because you're a Texas congressman, we see that the administration has gone and reversed themselves. They said they would not build another inch of Trump's border wall. Now they're going to build in 4 sections in Yuma, Arizona, new border wall to fill some gaps. Do you believe the administration is reversing course, and would you like to see them perhaps do a similar thing in Texas?
What I'd like to see is both parties, both sides, sit and discuss comprehensive immigration reform. And we'll discuss walls. We can discuss what's going to happen to the 11 million people who are already here. These are the 2 major issues on the table. And I think that if we can do that and we can't negotiate it through the press, that would be a mistake. But I'd like to see us sit and try our very best to have comprehensive immigration reform, which I think would eliminate a lot of the problems we have. By the way, not everybody who comes to this country wants to stay. Many people just want to work. So comprehensive immigration reform could take care of that.
It's a great point. I'm not sure we can get to that meeting, but we shall see. Congressman Al Green, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you much.
All right. And tomorrow, Bret Baier anchors Fox News Sunday. He will interview the Democratic senator from West Virginia, Joe Manchin. And in an exclusive interview, Bret will speak with Michigan's Republican gubernatorial candidate Tudor Dixon. Check your local listings for time and channel. Then on Media Buzz, Howie Kurtz sitting down with Pete Buttigieg's former presidential campaign senior advisor, Liz Smith, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, only on the Fox News channel.
Live pictures of the destruction in Kentucky after one of the worst floods in the state's history killed at least 25 and left many more missing. Governor Andy Beshear says the death toll is going to keep climbing, quote, go a lot higher, and the search for victims could take weeks. Max Gordon is tracking the latest from the ground for us in Kentucky. Max.
Hey, good afternoon. Well, we've seen extensive flood damage all across eastern Kentucky. Right now, we're standing near Lost Creek, and we've seen cars and trucks tossed aside like they were toys. We've seen debris in trees. And right now, I want to show you just the power of this water. All over the place, you see empty pads where homes used to be. And if you come along with me, you can see where this home ended up. All the way down there, nearly a football field away, that's where this home ended up because of the floodwaters. Now, we've been hearing incredible stories of survival throughout this flooding event. Hundreds of people had to be rescued by air and by boat. People were plucked from trees, rooftops, whatever they could hold on to. We've also heard stories of loss. The death toll of this flood is expected to rise in the coming weeks. There's no firm number on the number of people still missing. Unfortunately, 4 children are confirmed to be among the dead, all from one family. Many of the others who were lost in the floods were elderly. One woman told us that her elderly neighbor called her on the phone, but no one could get to her.
When she first contacted us, it was up to her bed, and then she said it was up to the ceiling. And then the last time she spoke with her daughter, she said she could hear it crackling, and her home and her was swept away. So, you know, there's been so much loss.
Now, right here is one of the staging areas for rescue crews. Crews from all across the country have descended here on eastern Kentucky to help out with the rescue efforts. More than 600 air rescues and 700 water rescues have taken place, and those rescues are still underway. This is a very active scene. Guys, back to you.
All right, Max Gordon live for us in Kentucky. Thank you so much. Griff? Well, actually, you can follow all the latest details and track your local weather on the Fox Weather app. To download, just scan the code right on your screen right now. Griff?
Aisha, you're just in a hurry for me to talk about that jaw-dropping footage of water pouring into Las Vegas casinos as Sin City struggles to clean up the damage from severe thunderstorms that flooded the famous Strip. As you can see here, rivers of water cascading down the streets and gushing in through light fixtures, knocking out the power for as many as 7,000 people on Thursday night, according to local outlets.
Wow. Well, could there finally be a winner of the now over one lucky winner is walking away with the nation's third largest lottery prize of all time. The winning ticket for the $1.28 billion Mega Millions jackpot sold in Des Plaines, Illinois. So it's not us here at Fox in D.C. Nate Foy, it's not you either.
Certainly not either of us, Aisha. The winning ticket was sold at a gas station about 20 miles outside Chicago. Whoever the lucky person is, this was the moment they found out they won the jackpot of $1.28 billion.
First winning number tonight is 67. That's followed by 45. Up next, we have 57. Your next number is 36. And your final white ball number for this Friday evening is 13. Now for the mega ball number, that is 14. Again, tonight's winning numbers are 67, 45, 57, 36, 13, and the gold mega ball is 14.
Aisha, we should not feel bad. The chances of winning were 1 in 303 million. If the winner opts for the lump sum cash payment, they get $747 million. The state of Illinois, by the way, will get over $63 million in tax money. But as for individuals, there were also 26 secondary winners in this drawing who won at least $1 million, some of them more. This opportunity was rare. Take a look at this. It was the third largest U.S. jackpot ever and the second largest Mega Millions jackpot in the game's 20-year history. And whenever you have numbers like this in or approaching that billion-dollar mark, people, of course, can't help but daydream. Here's one person who's waking up to reality today.
I got plans. I got visions. I got a whole bunch of stuff. So when you see me again and you see $1 billion, don't call me, because you just need to email me, because I don't answer phone calls anymore because I'm getting money. And I'm going to be tossing money out the sky like boom, boom.
Hopefully his phone is still working today, Aisha. Employees at Raising Cane's are definitely disappointed. They had a better shot at it than most because their CEO bought 50,000 tickets for last night's drawing, also bought 50,000 tickets for Tuesday's drawing. That's one for every employee at the fast food chicken restaurant, but of course, luck was not on their side. This jackpot has been building since mid-April. There had been 29 consecutive drawings without somebody hitting the jackpot. Now that somebody has, the jackpot goes back down to 20 million, and then it goes up based on game sales. We'll send it back to you, Aisha.
Still a lot of money, Nate, despite inflation.
Definitely.
Still a lot of money. Somebody can pay for my gas. All right, thanks so much, Nate Foy, live in New York for us from Des Plaines, Illinois. We go to the border, Griff.
We do indeed, Aisha. Live images now from our southern border in Texas. You're looking live at our drone over Eagle Pass, Texas, where there have been more than 375,000 migrant encounters this fiscal year as the Biden administration is quietly greenlighting construction to fill gaps in the Yuma, Arizona wall. We go now to Steve Harrigan, who is reporting live from Eagle Pass. Hey, Steve.
Griff, the Biden administration trying to say this is not a change in course, but it certainly seems that way. The Biden campaign vowing not to build any more border wall. That changed Thursday when the Department of Homeland Security greenlit filling in 4 areas of Trump-built wall around Yuma, Arizona. These gaps were really an eyesore. They created a major crossing point as well for migrants from around the world. One of the busiest in the U.S. 4 times as many people crossed through those gaps near Yuma in the first 6 months of this year as per 1 year ago. Now, the administration is saying safety is the reason behind filling in these gaps, safety both for the agents and for the migrants who sometimes drowned in the area. Here's Senator Kelly.
It's clear to me in my first visit there that it was ridiculous that we had these gaps in the border wall, and that's why we're getting them closed up. When those agents have to sit there and police a 60-foot gap, that doesn't really help with the overall picture and the overall problem.
Fox News cameras watched some human smugglers get captured by police yesterday. The smuggler involved this time was a woman, a U.S. citizen, bringing 2 migrants into the U.S. illegally. She hoped to get $1,000 for about a 2-hour ride. Instead, now she is facing 2 felony charges. Griff, back to you.
Great reporting. Steve Harrigan live for us in Eagle Pass. Steve, thank you very much. A string of shark attacks and sightings is causing many beachgoers to think twice before jumping in the water. But experts say more shark sightings could actually be a good thing, a sign the conservation efforts are working. I took a trip off the coast of Jupiter, Florida to find out firsthand if these toothy creatures are something to shrink from. They are the ocean's most feared and misunderstood apex predators of the sea. Just off the coast of Florida, there's a superhighway of sharks where anyone curious enough can get a closer look. Cam, Mickey, what's going on, man?
Welcome to Florida.
Cameron Nimmo and Mickey Smith are professional shark divers who spend their days in the water educating people about the biggest misconceptions about sharks.
That they're man-eaters, and if one is seen in the wild, it's just going to swim up and attack you, which is totally false.
We set out 4 miles offshore where the water is 175 feet deep, crystal clear, and full of sharks. Almost everyone on this boat has done this, except for me and Lexi. They're not afraid to get in. Lexi, are you afraid to go? This is your first time. How are you feeling?
A little bit, yeah, but I'm excited. Very excited, yeah.
It's the experience of a lifetime, swimming among these graceful yet powerful and dangerous creatures. Okay, we survived the first round. Time for round 2. I'm going back. I think I'm addicted. That's what happens. It's a problem. Yeah. We even witness Cameron braving some dental work, taking hooks out of their mouths.
The sharks appreciate it. We've taken hooks out of multiple sharks. I've taken, I think, about 6 hooks off of one shark.
For the guys who call themselves the shark addicts, it's a passion that's turned into a job.
It started as our love for sharks. It started as a hobby. People who may be scared or maybe, think sharks are bad. We want to show them, sharks aren't evil.
And in the end, they've changed at least a few more minds.
I loved it. It was awesome. Sharks are like my biggest fear, and so I really wanted to get over it, and it was awesome.
And I cannot thank Cameron Nimmo and Mickey Smith enough of shark addicts there in Jupiter. Anyone can go and do that. They just were amazing to go out with. Now, to dive even deeper into the fascinating world of sharks, joining us now live is one of the world's leading shark behavioral ecologists and Florida International Assistant Professor Yannis Papastamatiu. Yannis, you are a celebrity in the shark world. It's a great honor to have you here. But your reaction to what viewers should take away from my package and the fact that I was able to go and witness these beautiful creatures without really being threatened.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. And, it really pleases me to see people get in the water with sharks for the first time and have your response. And that really is to see that these animals are not man-eaters. They're not killers. For the most part, we very, very rarely appear on the menu for these animals. Again, most shark species are going to be similar size to most humans, and so they're really not going to be including prey of our size. Now, occasionally, of course, there are larger species of sharks, and the danger can go up a little bit, but even in the case we're talking about white sharks, the chance of them actually wanting to go and consume human as part of their diet is extremely rare.
And even the sharks that we were in the water with Cam were bull sharks that are known to be aggressive and dangerous.
Yeah, so bull sharks do have a reputation. We know, obviously, they have bitten humans. But again, even in the case with bull sharks, the chance of a bull shark eating humans is extremely rare. So we don't always fully understand why shark bites do happen, why a shark will occasionally bite a human. But again, statistically, when you look at it, the chance of that happening is so low. Now, of course, you should be very careful with these animals. They are large animals. You can't take them for granted. You've got to respect them. They can obviously cause injury. But again, your chance of something going wrong or something going bad is very, very low.
And I definitely gave them every bit of respect they deserved. Cam told me just maintain eye contact with them and you'll be okay. That was what I was focusing on. It's difficult when there's multiple ones around. But let's talk about, Yannis, the fact that there have been a spate of attacks here in recent weeks this summer, many of them off Long Island, all along the shore. Even a surfer, I believe, was the most recent attack. Why are they seeing these attacks along the shore, but yet I was able to go out and swim with them?
So obviously there can be a difference in terms of you being in the water in kind of a more controlled situation where you're swimming with them versus people who are just swimming from the beach or surfers who aren't necessarily looking out for sharks. Now, of course, 5 bites seems like a lot, but it's very difficult to say whether or not that's actually a trend, because it could be that next year we only have 1 bite. So it takes several years before we can actually say that there's a trend of increased number of shark bites. But it is possible that that is happening, and there could be a few reasons for that. One of the ones being that you mentioned at the beginning, that we are starting to see some shark populations start to rebound, start to come back up. And that's a good thing. That's because US, we have pretty well-regulated fisheries, and we've had protected measures for several decades now. We might be seeing the sort of response to that.
And what's your advice, Giannis, for